Finishing barn and feed out cattle. I raise corn, soybeans, and edible beans. I've been doing cover crops for about 6 years, mainly rye and oats and some radishes and turnips. And I've been doing vertical tillage for 3 years now. I guess I'll talk about my vertical tillage a little bit first. I use a Mandaco Storm. I switched that 3 years ago. Prior to that was your typical ripper and tandem disc. We've got a lot of rock in our area, so we'll use a tandem disc instead of a field cultivator. So I was kind of looking for something going back, like the tandem disc before, say you get a big heavy rain in the spring and it seems like your soil will just really turn to mush and soup, and it takes a long time to dry out. And when it does dry out, then it gets hard. So wanted to do maybe like a strip till, no till deal, but with my manure, I thought the vertical disc was probably the next best thing, and I do like it. It's not by any means like a silver bullet. It does have its setbacks, or I guess to explain a little bit about it, it doesn't bury really any residue, and it leaves all the roots pretty much in contact. This vertical tillage will go from 0 to 14 degree on the disc angle. Usually in the spring, I'll run it from a 0 to 5 degree angle. In the fall, sometimes I'll run it at a 14 degree angle or 7, just kind of depending on the conditions. This field behind me here was corn stalks. This is in the springtime, and I'll bale a lot of my corn stalks off for bedding. Some of the downside effects to it is, say it's corn ground going back into corn, and I spread bed pack on it in the spring. What I've learned is it doesn't bury the bed pack residue, so it does become a little bit of an issue for seed to soil contact with your planter. You got to run the row cleaners really aggressive. What I've done to change that is try to stay away from putting bed pack on corn stalk field, and kind of going to putting hog manure on those fields instead. One benefit you do see, I'd say in the summertime, you come back in July and that bed pack will be on top. You kick that bed pack to the side and it is nothing but wormholes in the ground. One other downfall to it, I guess, is if you got really heavy corn residue, like I said before, it doesn't bury it. So if you do have a big wind in the spring, you will blow some residue off the field as far as that goes. Coming into bean ground, I'll just hit it once in the spring and it plants really nice. Some of the benefits that I've seen, the ground is firmer versus say like a tandem disc. I go in there with my planter and the soil seems like it's so loose, so beat up that your row unit just kind of plows in the ground and you make a big ridge. And this here, it's nice and firm. I think you get a little bit better seed depth control with it. I guess, and then I'll kind of, like I said before, I'll kind of get in between the rows. You know, you don't really roll up any root balls. So I'll try to, get offset and plant in between the rows. Picture on the left is a picture of a cover crop from this last fall. Like I said, I'll use oats or rye. If I get the crop off early, this here was corn silage ground chopped this last fall. If I get the crop off early, I like to use oats just because the reason that the oats will winter kill over winter versus rye in the spring. If you get a wet spring and you can't get out there to kill, rye doesn't seem like cereal rye, really doesn't seem like it'll kill mechanically. You got to do it with a herbicide. So if you get a wet spring and you can't get in there to control it, it will take off, and it takes off quick, and it's hard to deal with then. So kind of depending on the situation, I do farm some sand, blow sand. That I'll use rye on, because I want some cover there in the spring, early spring, for wind events, and the corn is short, especially following soybeans. I've used turnips and radishes in the past, like I said before, but like this, I'm kind of learning as time goes on. My timing was off. It wasn't planted early enough in the fall to get a good stand on it. Otherwise than that, that's kind of about all I got. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of learning every year, just as everyone else is. So, any questions? Oh, I guess going forward, you know, like to do some interseeding, you know, do some more cocktail mixes, more taproot system for compaction. I guess going back to that vertical tillage, I won't do primary tillage now every year. It's been about every 2 to 3 years, depending on conditions. I still use a parabolic shank ripper, but my goal is to go to inline ripper, like a no-till ripper, where I just lift and shatter the soil, you know. Otherwise than that, as far as future, you know, just better soil health, you know, kind of going towards that better infiltration, better watering holding capacity, hopefully getting a better, you know, organic matter level up and overall soil health. So.